Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I'm standing with Phil Scott, and you saw the title because Phil Scott is right about one thing in particular, and that's why I'm standing with him shoulder to shoulder against this white Arab guy in Dubai, supposedly from Dubai, but with a UK accent, which is possible. Could be just as he said. I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with him because the Arab man was capping about something. When he said that sisters have this aggression and attitude and masculinity, to a certain extent that is right, but see, he wanted to put the race and gender combination, throw them under the bus, when the fact is that no. That's not what it is. What wound up happening is that the Western black women have developed an attitude. They have. And of all of the Western diasporan women of African descent, the ones with the most comfort level, the Americans, started most of this attitude and exported it. They are the problem. The Anglophone, New World African women, black women, are the problem. That's where the attitude starts. It is not the case that black women are masculine and aggressive. Now, this is what I can say for that Arab guy in Dubai. Being of a UK accent, which means he probably did learn his English in Manchester or London, and probably at a young age. And then living in Dubai, not even just the whole of the United Arab Emirates, but specifically Dubai. This man probably has come across mostly black Britishers, some black Americans, and a whole lot of southern Nigerians from Lagos. So he probably did meet the ones that are the most aggressive. But you see, he knows firsthand Sudanese women aren't like that. Somali women ain't like that. They can be resilient and tough, but they are not mean and aggressive for nothing. I've seen this before. I've watched this happen before. Somali women do respond to kindness with kindness. They respond to politeness with politeness and manners with manners. They don't generally take kindness as weakness. Sudanese women don't generally do that. What does happen is that you see, and they can go through some stuff. Northern Nigerian women don't do this. Central Nigerian women don't do this in general. And this man is bound to understand the difference between different black folks. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. And that's why I'm going to stand with Phil Scott on this one. Even though I'm not willing to defend the Western sisters, because what he said about black women is true about the Western sisters. They're only sisters to each other. They ain't our women. I don't have the jurisdiction to defend them. What the Arab man said was cap for this reason. One, Arabs don't see black people as one big monolithic Negro. The Somali, the Sudanese, the Tanzanian, the Kenyan, they're different from each other. The South African. They don't expect every two black people to speak the same language. They know that black folks have different nationalities and different cultures. So the whitest, palest Arab is not a stranger to the diversity of black people. They know that there are black folks that are Muslim. There are black folks that are Catholic. There are black folks that are Protestant. There are black folks that are Everything. They know this. This man said black women. Why do you think he said it? It's real simple, and I'll tell you straight away. This man said what he said because Arab men don't like black women, and they're probably being asked about that by Western sisters and westernized sisters who do have the attitude. But they know that this is not black women. They just don't like black women. That is based on race. There are those who do, and they generally have to hide it. They don't get to just say, I like black women, and everybody else futs the shuck up now. In a big city like Riyadh, they can argue back. And some of them do, but these are the young guys. The older ones don't even have the testicular fortitude to argue back if they were to state this, and other non-black Arabs asked them about that. Now, maybe in Jeddah or in Dammam, I think it probably would be different. Hell, in Mecca and in Medina it would be. But Riyadh is still the most Bedouin of all the big cities. Bedouin. And these Ay-rab nickels, non-black, can get on your mother cuss word nerves sometimes. They ain't the sharpest tools in the shed. They're nice, but they ain't the sharpest tools in the shed. Not because they're born stupid, it's just the attitude towards education, just like black folk. Now, this guy in Dubai is not a Saudi, nor is he a Bedouin as far as I know, but this man does know that Arab men don't prefer dark-skinned Arab women that aren't black, let alone black women. He doesn't have the testicular fortitude to come out and say, we are brainwashed, we were colonized, and even before that, we had this thing for light-skinned women, and so we just don't want black women, and we can't change that because it's too deeply embedded. But now I'm going to tell you one more thing, too. Some are going to look at me and say, well, black, you can say that, but why are you still Muslim if that's how the Arabs feel about you? And to that, I'm going to say two things. Number one, Arab and Muslim are two different things. That voice that you heard just now is from a black Saudi brother I teach. His last name is Barnaby. Guy you heard calling right now outside my car window, talking to another classmate of his, that was a brother I teach. Those of us that are black and Muslim have the highest chances of marrying each other regardless of linguistic or national differences. My friend and my closest friend in Riyadh, and actually the only one with whom I hang out regularly in Riyadh, a brother, Saudi brother, he was in discussion with a family from an African country to marry their daughter. We don't mind this, if you really want to know the truth. And I know because I'm an African-American Creole who became Muslim. Now I'm married to a Somali Muslima with a U.S. passport and a Gulf Arab childhood who speaks 3 languages and has Creole customs that she doesn't even know are Creole. We marry each other, and then we'll find out about many things we wind up having in common. So really, some of the most black-on-black unity that you see is within the Muslims. You might be used to hearing stories about black folks who are usually of one particular persuasion or school of thought within Islam. You may be used to hearing about them becoming Muslim and then trying to be Arab and all that. You might be used to them, but I'm telling you, on the real, whether you believe me or not, that's one small group. And here's where you can find out more. The Features gives white supremacists that work. That's a Muslim. His first name is Bilal. Check out his channel. It's spelled Feachaz. The Features has that channel where he gives him that work. He gave him that work just now. He goes in on white supremacy all the time. Because he's Muslim, he understands that white supremacy is a false religion. It is a false god with false idols to worship, and many Muslims fell victim to it. The only one that goes harder in the paint than him is me, for one reason, and I might be extreme for this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I call any Muslim who subscribes to white supremacy a kafir. That means they can say they're Muslim. I don't believe they're Muslim. I call them disbeliever right off the bat. Either you were Kafir from the beginning, you've always been when you thought you were Muslim, or like what they say about the NOI. Theologically, I can't argue with that. Or you were Muslim at some point, then you developed a pro-white, anti-black bias, so F you left Islam, and that makes you even worse. Nothing personal, them's just the rules. And so I tell anybody straight away, man, look, no joke, no chase. No chaser, no cap. Me going harder in the paint might be wrong, might be right, but I think it's necessary. If it's wrong, then it's a necessary evil. But the features goes in, gives him that work, and he Muslim. From top to bottom, in and out, lock, stock, and barrel. Hook, line, and sinker, the man Muslim. 200% Muslim. And he's actually doing the right thing because he is able to use scripture to back up what he's saying. And you will understand that in actuality, this is like a litmus test. You can ask him, where did white supremacy get started? And how did it spread amongst people before colonization and electronic media by white folks? How did a bunch of people become pro-white, anti-black? You can ask him. He'll tell you the same thing I did. We didn't know each other at the time that I first said what the reason was. That you have to know that Satan does exist to understand that. And you got to know that Adam was black, which is what his name means, black. Alayhi salam. You got to know these two things. If you know these two things, there is a shaitan, invisible to us, but very real. There's the devil. He always had free will. That's how he was able to rise in ranks in the consideration of Allah, and that's how he was able to fall later. He always had free will. And then you understand that Adam, the first human being, of whom the devil became envious to the point that he disobeyed Allah directly, was black. Then you understand, oh, that's how white supremacy got started and was there in many parts of the world long before electronic media and white colonization. That explains it. The features would tell you the same thing, and he did not know me, nor did I know him at the time that I said this to you. So he may have been saying this at the same time long ago, and I haven't gotten to those videos yet. So I will sit up here and stand against this Ay-rab dude from Dubai and tell him, say, bro, you might be reporting a true observation, but you intentionally left out certain distinctions of which Arabs know. Miss me with that mess. Non-black Arab men don't like black women. You just need to be honest about it. You want to breed yourselves to become as white as possible, so F you. And don't say it's a personal preference. It's not. It is a cultural preference. And that's why I take issue with y'all. Not because you don't want black women, you shouldn't have them. But because you don't have the same smoke. When it comes to anyone intermarrying outside their race, you may not, or y'all might make jokes about an Arab that marries a Filipina or that marries a European, but when a non-black Arab marries a black woman of any nationality or language or religion, that's when people raise their eyebrows the most. And you know this. And that's why I look at you and I say, yeah, you ain't tricking me with that, bro. Miss me with that. Shuck that fit. You know mother cuss word well how y'all view this. Just go ahead and say, Western black women have an extra disadvantage. We already don't prefer black women, period. But Western and westernized black women add on a disadvantage with all that masculinity, and y'all are the ones asking us why we don't like black women. How come the feminine black women from traditional areas ain't busy asking other groups and other races of men why they ain't into black women? That would have made more sense. I wouldn't have been able to argue. And I'll still turn around and tell blackity black, pro-blacks, Islam ain't black enough, saying mother cuss words. Islam was created by the Arabs. I'll tell y'all straight in the heartbeat, man. First people to protect it were black Christians, the king of whom later became Muslim. That was Abyssinia. And there was a hadith It's not even considered sound, but you know what? A lot of Muslims don't know that it's not sound. There's a hadith in which Muhammad ﷺ is said to have told the Muslims, leave the Abyssinians alone as long as they don't aggress against you. Some have said that's not a sound hadith, but we'll go ahead and abide by that anyway. Just in case he actually did say that, they'll go ahead and abide by that. Generally speaking, Muslims will not start a fight with Abyssinia as a civilization. Today's Ethiopia. That's number one. Number two, the first one's to fight against Islam were the Arabs. Stubborn as hell. The religion of the Arabs is not Islam. The religion of the Arabs is a bunch of idols, 360 of them, that they used to keep at the Kaaba. That's the religion of the Arabs. Abu Talib, the uncle of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ali's father, protected the Muslims without ever becoming a Muslim himself. His nephew, the Prophet, said to him, listen, when he was dying, he said, listen, if you accept everything you ever did wrong will be forgiven. You get this foremost rank in the eyes of Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth. And Abu Talib sat up and said, I fear that when I die, the women will write poems about me. As for me, I die on the religion of the Arabs. He was saying, I don't accept Islam. I'm holding on to the religion of the Arabs. So y'all can miss me with that. Black folks, I've told you what the solution is, but if you don't believe it's the solution, you're going to have to reject it because you believe something else. And that means you're going to have to put them side by side and scrutinize them both and see which one stands up to scrutiny. But understand this. The Features is the one of whom I know. He ain't the only one actively confronting white supremacy, especially amongst people who claim to be Muslim. He ain't the only one doing it. He won't tell you he is. He's one of the few, and we don't always find each other. It's rare when we do. Be Deep, Dark Matter, a rapper here in Riyadh, is doing that. My other friend, Mr. Hausawi, is doing that. He been on this. Been doing this for a long time. And you know, a brother here, black Saudi brother here, at the place where I work and into which I'm about to walk my bald-headed ass in a few minutes, told me, yeah, black, police profiling has ratcheted up in the last few years. He meant racial profiling. And I was hot, like, what the F, man? Then maybe it's time to start killing some of them cops. Before I could say that, I thought about something. I said, hold up. There are a lot of black officers. Well, there are enough black officers here, too. Can black officers profile white Saudis and get away with it? He said, theoretically, yes, they could. Because it's hard to prove. And he thought about it, and I thought about it. We looked at each other and realized at the same time, since there are more whites, period, if black officers decided to racially profile non-black Arabs here, they could get away with it even more easily because so many of the people here are not black. Then all the black officer would have to say is, I don't hardly even see black people. Of course I don't stop them and pull them over in traffic. They ain't the majority of people, let alone drivers. Yeah. And I think I already stated for the record that the unity between black folks across cultural lines and across national boundaries and even across linguistic differences is with the Muslims. I didn't know this when I accepted, but I found out later on that it was very common for Muslims to do what the hell I did. For Muslims that are black to marry each other across these national boundaries. It's common. It's normal. Happens a lot. Muslims will sit up here and I mean black Muslims from Nigeria will marry somebody from Chad and vice versa. Black Muslims from Cameroon will marry someone from Niger. They are not next to each other. There's Nigerian between them. Black Muslims from Cabo Verde will marry somebody from Guinea-Conakry. They're not next to each other. Black Muslims from one will marry from one place will marry someone from somewhere else. Black Muslims in South Africa, from South Africa, might marry a black Muslim from Mozambique. And they're next to each other. That does happen. You're listening now to an African-American Creole that became Muslim, now married to a Somalian, happily so. God bless that black woman. And so, I'm going to tell you, that's what unity is. That's where it is. And so don't worry. Some of you might be thinking, well, you know, this Ay-rab said this and we got to really go hard in the paint because, you know, the black Muslims ain't going to do it. Man, shuck that fit. Black Muslims don't even know what this dude said. But those of us who do, of course we're going to say, hold up. You ain't talking about the ones with the attitude, because when it comes to marriage, you don't distinguish. And yeah, I've heard people say the Nigerian women, and they were talking about southern Nigerian women from Lagos. I've heard Malaysians say the women act just like the men. I've heard them say that. I didn't have a leg to stand on to argue, though. I've seen it myself. Emasculating. The money. I want the money. If you can't bring the money, I just go and find a man that can. I've seen that. Heard him say it. Don't believe me? You can ask Pan-Africanists about that. But by the same token, I've seen where African-American men will seek out Muslim women from Nigeria, from the Muslim areas of the north. They will seek them out because those women will treat you well. There's one case right now, I think it's in Kano, where this one woman moved out of her husband's house because he got ready to marry another woman. Now that other woman is a single mom, but she's a widow. Her husband was actually helping to deliver, her first husband was helping another lady to deliver a baby. She was ill. He contracted the virus from her. He passed away. So he left his wife a widow. He's a hero. So this other man was like, look, let me go ahead and marry this woman, take care of her. And so his first wife was like, oh, hell no. She went back to her dad's house where there ain't no room. And she's in the process of leaving this man. And everybody's talking about what her future's going to be. And they pretty much saying the same thing. Ain't nobody gonna marry this woman because she left her husband for marrying another wife. That's a no-no right there. And she's never gonna catch another ding-a-ling without fornicating because she ain't gonna get no marriage contract with nobody. Ain't nobody gonna marry her. That she's going to be nothing other than a girlfriend or batting practice for younger dudes that want to take a break from chastity. That's it. They're all talking. They said, what the hell she gonna do? Fornicate? Because she ain't gonna get no other husband. And her dad's old. He ain't gonna be there to take care of her. So if you want to sit up and point to the Arabs again as a reason to sit up and say that monotheism is a problem, I point you to that exhibit. I'll tell you straight away, no, that ain't the issue. That's not it. Because in all honesty, if you want to see black folks of differing languages and everything else cooperate with each other, that's where you're going to find it. It's amongst us. And no, those of us who know about what this Arab from Dubai said ain't just sitting up saying, yeah, okay, you know, he's right now. That ain't it. We're the ones that'll stop him and say, hold up, bruh. You left something out, and you know you left it out. You intentionally left something out. Don't play. We ain't stupid. I hope that what I said helps you out. Thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, black, heterosexual, non-select male power just because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. Thank you for flying again with me on Jet Black Airways, where Jet Black is also a verb. If you have not done so already, punch the Cash App button on your way out of the Jet Black aircraft. Only enter in amounts that are small and that you will not miss later. Gender justice forever.